So my name is Todd McGrain, and I am the sculptor behind the Lost Bird Project, which is a sculpture project in its essence, but also includes a lot of research into the natural history of avian species, birds, and birds that have been driven to extinction in modern times. So what I've been doing is making monuments, memorials to lost birds, and specifically birds that have been driven to extinction in modern times, which means driven to extinction by us. And I'm here at Brookgreen Gardens installing the memorial to the Carolina Parakeet. The Carolina Parakeet was a fantastic bird. It was the only parrot to live north of the Mexican border. It would have flown here in big flocks, been a very visible presence here, filling trees with its flashing green and red, and being very chatty as it flew, and then landing and becoming silent in the branches. It was hunted mostly for feathers, some for the pet trade, and also because it was thought to be a pest. So it's wonderful to have it here. It is the Carolina Parakeet after all, and we're in South Carolina. And I love that it's here and has the possibility of bringing the history of the bird to this geography, which would have been such a natural habitat.
Carolina Parakeet.
Oh my God. Wow.
Glamorous.
Oh my God, it's very glamorous. You know, when you read the descriptions, people talk about just the explosion of energy in the image, and I mean, this is really an image that speaks to such abundance. And it's great that it's a community bird. It's a bird that was, in fact, part of what led to its decline was one bird is shot, the flock comes close, choosing to be with its fallen flock mate, even though it's within the sound of the gun.
We're heading north.
And so we go that way?
No, that way.
Oh, okay. Exactly.
Ocean,
Oh, ocean, thank you.
north up to this, 704.
Ask him if he's heard of the Carolina Parakeet.
Yeah. Ever heard of the Carolina Parakeet? The last living bird was in 1918, so it's, been extinct for a long time. But Todd's idea is to take each of these sculptures as a memorial to the lost. So that's what we're doing. We're talking to people about it, trying to not cause much trouble.
I wish everybody did that.
Some people don't have the,
Some people don't have that courtesy. Take care.
Hey, have a quiet day.
Nothing.
Never heard of Carolina Parakeet, never heard of Todd McGrain.
Everyone's heard of the dodo, which is a shame, right? I mean, it's kind of a shame because the dodo is this sort of like...
Everyone's heard of Tyrannosaurus Rex. No one's ever seen one?
Well, that's the trouble with the dodo is it's this people think, okay, well, that's what kind of birds go extinct because of us are the really slow, flawed ones. And the only flaw the Carolina parakeets had are they were beautiful and they were very loyal. I'm really hoping we just come to a place and say, yeah, this is the right place. Richard, how are you? Nice to meet you. Thanks so much for meeting us.
they're big.
They are big. They're big enough to make a real statement, I think.
Which bird is that?
That's the Carolina parakeet.
The sculpture itself is large scale. I model it so that much of the detail is softened, and I feel that is a bit of a physical metaphor for the idea of time passing. I feel it has the kind of visual effect that a weathered beach stone has, something soft, and it's the hard material of stone, or in this case bronze, but the detail's been sort of wiped away by time, and I think much of the way we think of the past is that way, a bit softened by the passing of time, but we we can't fully forget, and I don't think we should, because I think it's in remembering what we've lost that we are most motivated to think about how precious what we have is and how important it is to work to preserve what we still have.
How to make a sculpture for something lost does take some thinking. And I didn't want them to be like every feather. They're not really about that, you know. They're not really about sort of
Right.
describing the bird specifically, but more about issues of loss and a memorial and remembrance. Smell the water. Follow the water.
Yeah, the water's this way, right. I bet he went down here. Two paths diverged in the wood, and
They look pretty equally trod.
I took the one equally traveled by. Hello? Here we go.
Sure, he always gets it right.
Look how cool
This is amazing.
This is amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
jumping fish. Jumping fish. It came out of the water about 2 feet. Sounds like a big tourist, I'm sure. Jumping fish.
Nothing wrong with enthusiasm.
I am better at self-effacement than anyone probably in the world.
You are naturally not cool, which I think is really awesome. An awesome thing about you. Trying to pick a spot where that's relevant for the memorial and where the last birds were seen will definitely bring us down here.
The Carolina parakeet was the only member of the parrot species whose native habitat extended north of Mexico.
We don't know who shot the last Carolina parakeet.
Its extinction was due mainly to hunting and habitat destruction.
Knows the area, has some ideas about where we might do this. These creatures are extinct. We may have never even heard of them, but it's a less rich, less animated, less wild world without them. It seems to me that if we can be reminded that they were once here, we can have something of an experience that's a little more wild. You can look at the landscape and say, this place was once animated by these creatures. That's what you need, isn't it? You need what would this place be like with parakeets? You know, when I'm at a place like this and I think of the bird, I just think of a chattering flock. You know, birds that chatter like crazy socially and moving through, fly really fast, turning sideways to get around trees, coming together, hanging from their beak and playing and hanging upside down and socializing. If I hadn't read the stories, I wouldn't know to look for that. But now I hear it, I hear it and hear its absence all the time. We don't know where we want to put them, but this might be a possibility. So we'd put a proposal together if we got to that point and see if you'd be interested in participating and having a sculpture. And if we think that this is an appropriate place, I'm going to have to sort of somehow, you know, congratulations, I just want you to know. We've decided, and you're the lucky ones that, of all of the people that are interested, we think that you're, you know, that, and hope that we can somehow get them to realize that it's a great opportunity. And I think I made some mistakes in strategy on Martha's Vineyard. You know, I think perhaps I should have had John Verkonda, the ranger, and that perhaps he and I should have visited the main office in Boston, or somehow cut through the bureaucracy a little bit.
My exhibit here includes some prints and drawings that I've done on the species, some photographs that represent my research into the history of the birds, as well as the models, the first scale models that I made to get a sense of the form of these birds in a form that I think is appropriate for a memorial. And my connection here is both current and in my pretty distant past. That my gallery connection is Connor Rosenkrantz in New York, and they have a strong connection with Brookgreen. And Joel Rosenkrantz is a long friend of the garden and a collector that I think is very interested in the collection here. And then my own personal history, it was when I was 14, my mother sort of pulled us off the highway and brought us here. And I have always remembered the jaguars climbing down those rocks, and that it turns out that those are Anna's sculptures has a sort of beautiful legacy feel to it to me, that someone who built such a beautiful home and cared so much about sculpture, and other artists really, continues to have that sort of influence, had that influence on me. And so it's a huge honor, and it feels a bit of a sort of closing of the circle to be here and have my Carolina Parakeet here for everyone to enjoy.